What's going on, gamers? So this is Pit Tier 119. Shout out to my boy Arco, who's playing Frenzy Thorns Barbarian. A bit different setup than most Thorn Barbs. But as you can see, this is probably the tankiest build I've ever seen. He's tanking these lightning rods like no problem. And we know those suckers hurt the most. And great uptime on Unstoppable with this build, thanks to a Metamorph aspect on the boots, as you could see there from the evade. And of course, like with any Thorns Barb or build, the more adds the better. The more damage, right? So you kind of need the boss that spawns ads at the end, but it's quite alright. Like, you know, most of the builds are only viable or can clear these high levels thanks to Holy Bolt cheese, but I believe he cleared 100 money today. I think he said that. And as you can see, he's about to go to a boss and with almost 10 minutes left. So we get Sprayed Color of Frost. And the playstyle with this build, you kind of need the uptime on the Frenzy stacks because that gives a lot of damage reduction. You want to keep Steel Grasp on the target because Arco is running a 200 unique X that gives him multiplier to mobs that are affected by Steel Grasp. And I believe he has greater affix on the X, or the ultimate base for the X would be greater affix on the Steel Grasp, or overall have greater affix everywhere. And it's plus 11 ranks to Steel Grasp, which is insane amount of cooldown reduction as well. So he doesn't need to run the aspect for extra charge. Amazing cooldown reduction for shouts as well, thanks to Hectic aspect. Gives from basic skill, basically hitting a mob with basic skill gives him damage reduction. Wrath of Berserker for more Berserk uptime, and yeah, trigger for Berserking here is the Steel Grasp, so you gotta keep that in mind as well as having the vulnerable on the target. But let me skip a little bit here. He still has like almost 8 minutes here with amazing time. Even if he doesn't have Fortify, he's still tanky. He can still out-tank most of the stuff, so that's pretty impressive. The problem is if you have, like, Pit is about a lot about RNG, depending on the boss mechanics, right? So if you get like second phase of Lilith, you're gonna have to kite around and whatnot, so Frenzy stacks there kind of fall off, and it's pretty unlucky, which he will, by the way, get in here in a bit. And overall, like, you know, the type of boss, the boss mechanics, the shadows, I mean, getting that in Pit is very random. Very RNG based, because you can get absolute horrible combination, like Marksman boss in the Pit is the worst. God, I hate that guy. Or I don't know, you know what it is. And yeah, overall, even like the layout of the dungeon, right? You can have great spawn of mobs and elites, so you can save time, or on the other hand, you can waste time running around like a headless chicken, right? Like, he was no 45 here, and he could still tank this hit from Lilith. Very impressive, man. Very impressive. Running 1 potion and triple incense. There is a trick to have 2 potions. I also have video on that. We're in the right upper corner. Have to get a second potion, which gives you extra HP, so you can have 2 HP potions. Pretty insane. I'm also a big fan of the aspect here that gives you DR from bleeding enemies, up to 5 stacks. And yeah, in the Pit, the boss HP scales insanely hard. It goes up to trillions, apparently, from like 140 plus tier. And which is only cheesable, right? So we'll see if they will add something during the season for more power. Because this is pretty insane. Or tone this down. I don't think 150 is clearable right now. But we'll see. Maybe it is. But my boy ran out of potions here. A bit of a clutch, but boss just dropped 2 or 3. Still running 0 pots out of 9 here, so that's pretty clutch, but no problem tanking these hits, man, while being vulnerable. It's really impressive. Tankiest build I've seen so far, for sure. But as you can see, he was cutting the mechanic here for the Lilith, so he dropped the stacks of Frenzy. I don't know what it was right here, so it is what it is. But yeah, he completed with nice timing. He still had like a couple seconds left there, so that's very impressive. But let's get the building here. Let's get the builder up and running. So first things, we got the skills here. The Frenzy, like I talked about, the 8% damage reduction for each stack of Frenzy you have. If you have 3 stacks, you know, times 8, that's very nice. On top of attack speed with this bad boy, so you don't have to waste the like on your attack speed and whatnot. Focus on something else. Nothing in core skill. We don't use that. Rallying Cry for the Fortify here. Very good source for Fortify. I used it as well, my Barb. Got some damage reduction from Elita right here. I'm a big fan as well. Let me actually make this a little bit smaller so you guys can see more. on the what it says right here, 45. We got the Outburst and Tough as Nails. This is amazing for mobs hitting you from afar. They'll get bleeding on them, and that means the aspect will trigger, which is right here, bleeding for, I mean, DR for each bleeding enemy. Shiny Shout for some extra HP since we scale from our Thorn scale for max HP, and here we go, even more so. So you want to put everything to max HP. That's why Doombringer is such a key item for Thorns build. So if you can craft one from Sparks, it will be always Doombringer. We got Warcry here for some damage increase. Power Warcry. Obviously all the upgrades here for Shouts because that's what we need. The HP, the healing here. Carlo, one of the best damage mitigations in the game, I would say, on Barbarian. Since we have 3 Shouts, almost up always. And the Booming Boys. We got more damage reductions from Aggressive Resistance. We don't really need movement speed because we got a Steel Grasp and that helps a lot, grouping mobs together. Slaying Strength, damage against injured. I'm a big fan of that one. I even like the Spear that does damage to injured enemies. Pit Fighter, this is 2-in-1, more damage done and also damage reduction from distant. Got some Steel Grasp, 12 out of 5. Once again, this planner is absolutely top-notch min-maxed. This is our trigger for Berserking and Vulnerable. We got Counter Offensive. This shows a bit weird number, I guess, on max roll. That's because we have it on the amulet. It's 4 ranks, so maybe that's why. And then the defensive stance for even more damage reductions while fortified. By the way, the default damage reduction for fortified is 15%. They increased it from 10%. So he's got this passive on top of a glyph Undaunted, which is like overall 16% on top of 15. That's pretty good. It stacks very well, even though it's 2% for each rank here. Wrath of Berserker, like I mentioned, for the damage and Berserking uptime, and Unconstrained to have the duration and even more damage increase. Let's see the equipment here. We got the headpiece with these stats. Cooldown reduction, strength, greater affix. Once again, this is absolute min-max build. Imposing Presence is the one you want to run on the pants here and on the chest piece, on the headpiece for the passive and for the HP increase. You could even run it on here on Amulet instead of damage to close, but it's probably optional. Chest piece, obviously Razor Blade. There is nothing much said there. On the gloves, we are running the Accursed Touch for even more vulnerable uptime. And also Vampire Curse, the Stored Souls deal pretty good damage, I would say. And you want to get Thorns while fortified, temper wherever you can. And stack Strength with max life, because Strength is not only armor, but also skill damage. Multiplier, Imposing Presence again. We have the Hectic for cooldown reduction aspect here. On the boots, we are running the Metamorph, which goes really well with Accursed Touch, because if you dodge through an enemy, it will be auto vulnerable. And strength movement speed, a greater affix, max evade charges you want with this aspect. Two-hander, we're running blue gems for vulnerable. That's what we need, that's what we're looking for. Running Needle Flare aspect on the two-hander because it's 2 times stronger than on one-hander. Lucky hit with physical damage. This, by the way, does a lot of damage. I tried on my Barb. And it's pretty impressive. It's pretty nice. I like that. 100x damage to healthy. That's the only thing that Thorns Barb can run. We are running Element aspect here for the damage increase for physical and just elemental. Doombringer, like I said, that's what we want. He does not have that in the video, by the way, with the max HP, greater affix, and triple master work. So Ancient's Oath. I think this could be pretty cheap because no one seems to use that. So I think you can get greater affix pretty easily on this weapon. We've got some ring action with... Did I mention the... Okay, I did. Ring here with Bold Chieftain. And now the gems are empty here, so... Depending on the resistances, that's what you put in here. And armor, obviously max HP, and weapons here is vulnerable. It's the only upgrade you can get, or like the only plus damage on the weapons you can get. So Bold Chieftain. Warcry cooldown, very important on the jewelry here. Because that's the source for Berserking, also damage increase. Damage to close is the only damage multiplier you can get as a Thorns. Max life again. And then Amulet, we get CDR, obviously strength %. And then we have counter offensive for some even more damage. Very good passive. Will be hard to get, but that's the ultimate one. And then here we run Deathwish aspect because on Amulet, aspects are stronger than one-handers, but weaker than two-handers. And Inner Calm here because, you know, we're standing in place with this build. So extra 30% multi here is amazing, right? And yeah, weapon technique, we're running 200x to even more support the vulnerable damage here. I guess like running spear here for lucky hit. I tried it on Barb. It's not good. It's just not good. We got the Paragon Board here. We got 6 boards. We got started with Ire. Then we got Decimator with Ambidextrous to buff the magic nodes here. Damage reduction for vulnerable, but also the vulnerable damage, right? We're trying to focus on this multiplier as much as we can. Next up, we got Carnage with Marshall to buff the magic nodes, which is Close DR. I'm a big fan of this one as well. On the left side, we got another board, which is I believe it's a Warringer with Revenge. Pretty good on resistances here, but just to trigger this glyph here, that's what we are looking for. And above the rare node, so extra resistances, that's pretty good stuff. That's pretty good stuff. Up next, we have the Blood Rage. You want to max this out, so for this you need 300% damage while berserking to have 30% AK the cap for this node. And here we are running Undaunted, like I mentioned, for more damage reduction while fortified. It's also very minimal like investment glyph, I feel like, in with this glyph for willpower. And of course we want to get more DR from bleeding because it stacks well with this aspect on the headpiece once again. He has some max HP even more here. Tries to get every max HP node possible. Last one we have Bonebreaker with Territorial. Territorial is close DR, so it stacks well with the Martial glyph in the Carnage board from close DR. And once again supports even more damage to close enemies on from the tempers on the gear here. And this is my favorite cluster for HP. There's an insane amount of HP here. Is like 10, 12, 14%, something like that. Quick math, yes, 40%. So a big fan of that one. And yeah, I'll have this planner in the description, the pinned comment. Now I also stream every day, so you can check out my my other barb as well in the game, if anyone is interested. And yeah, shout out to Ark once again for the footage and this planner right here. Very well done. I want to see where he ends up at, because I know he can push for more. I can see him in 130s easily. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. I wish everyone good luck in the hunt with drops and whatnot, because there is a lot of RNG. And yeah, until next time, have a good one, and peace.